in Radio Land, in Liberia and around the world. I want to welcome you all to the office of the Council of Patriots, where our Honorable Secretary General in person of Emmanuel Kiyoko will be addressing the media on national issue concerning our protests and other issues regarding our country. So to not waste much of the time, I want to call on our dynamic, the workaholic, the patriotic, the nationalistic, the fearless leader of the ruling resistance, the Council of Patriots, to speak to the press regarding our suffering in Liberia and around the world. You're much welcome.
Thank you, Comrade Momo Johnson, and thank you to you from the press and our fellow Liberians. We call you here today to speak to a lot of issues, but primarily on the issue concerning our protest on Monday. As you are aware, we have been over the last month giving reasons why Liberians should stand up on November 16 to speak to their government on why they believe that their collective individual interests are not being furthered by this government. And on that background, or from that background, we have rallied the support of Liberians from all walks of life to gather in our thousands on Monday. So on Monday, November 16, beginning at 6 a.m., we will be gathering at the Capitol Hill to converge and to tell our government that we're living in an era of fear. This country is so fearful that Liberians don't even want to identify with other people. The CDC government is running a country that people can no longer freely identify with their political parties. We have not observed this over the last 12 years of the Ellen Sirleaf administration, but over the last 3 years of the George Weah administration, people cannot freely identify with their parties for fear that they may be brutalized, they may be harmed, or even killed. And this has got to stop. That is why at the COP we say enough is enough. Enough is enough. So you may be wondering, what are the reasons why we are protesting? Why we're getting in the streets? Why are we rallying our base? Why are we calling Liberians from every walks of life, including the CDC? Why should they stand up to their government? We should understand that elections are transitory. Elections are not something you do all year long. They are time bound. After election, there is governing. But unfortunately, the CDC-led government has refused to govern since the 2017 election. They are still in partisan mode. And because of that, they have neglected leading this country to nobler destiny. They are still so much engulfed in their partisan sentiments to the extent that it is eroding the national fabric and the cohesive nature of what this republic is known for, or what it should stand for. And because of that, we are saying at the COP, enough is enough.
Stop.
Enough is enough. Now, why are we going out? This government in broad day is stealing from you. And at the end of this press conference, you will understand that this is not a partisan approach. This is not the COP trying to fight for opposition political party. This is a COP standing in a gap for the Liberian people, including the seditious. We are standing for everyone in this country, because when the exchange rate is 150, that the Liberian dollar has gained so much value in a week, and commodities are still priced the same way, any seditions get to suffer because of that. So this is not a UP argument. This is not a Liberty Party argument. Or more generally, this is not a CPP or a Rainbow Coalition argument. This is a Liberian argument. So we are rallying the Liberian people to stand up and tell their government, we are all affected by your mismanagement of the state. And this has to be clearly articulated. So whilst you are seated in your comfort zone and thinking that the COP is here to satisfy certain segment of our population, you are grossly mistaken. Because our approach is broad-based, it's cross-sectional. It incorporates everyone. Everyone. We are here to talk for every Liberian. to the extent that our fundamental rights are being violated, to the extent that we are being stolen from in broad daylight. This has got to be clearly articulated, unambiguously. We have to come out and tell the Liberian people that come and stand with us, come and join us, and let's hold your government accountable. In the history of this country, one of the things that have always led to governments having problems from time to time is their failure to account to the Liberian people on the stewardship of the country. And at the COP, it is our stated and implied endeavor to ensure that government remains accountable to the people. And for that, we will remain uncompromising. Now, your government borrowed $50 million from the International Monetary Fund. Of that amount, $30 million was set aside for the distribution of much needed relief package in the wake of the outbreak of the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic. Now, your government made you to believe that they would have supplied you rice, beans, and oil. And in furtherance of that mandate, they went to your homes, enumerated your family members, your household, and marked your homes. To some extent, I'm being told that the homes were photographed. So the expectation is, or was because it turns out clearly there is no longer the will on the part of the government and the World Food Program, another topic that I will discuss in more detail, are reneging on this particular responsibility. So over 6 months, since May, this money was acquired, they have not reached out to the intended target. There is a conspiracy, a collusion between the government of Liberia and the World Food Program to steal from the Liberian people. And this is even more embarrassing because the World Food Program just won a Nobel Peace Prize. So I'm not sure they won that prize on the back of stealing from citizens of countries in which their efforts are meant to serve the greater interests of these people. So the World Food Program has to come clean. They were contracted to roll out this stimulus package. They gave a certain amount in administrative cost, which the government, to my recollection, made available. As a matter of fact, monies were deposited in their account. And the sole reason for this is that they have experience in dealing with the distribution of relief items around the world, and that is a statement of fact. Because the WFP has been in war-torn countries, poverty-stricken countries, and doing relief items distribution. So it is a fact that they do have experience. So on this basis, it is expected that they would have done their own environmental impact assessment analysis, which should have informed their costing. So to quote the government at a certain amount to pay to distribute this amount, only for the former Minister of Commerce, who's now director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Wilson Tappet, to tell the Senate committee that it's because of viral condition that people don't have the stimulus package. I think that is just a cover-up of the conspiracy that is already in motion. And they have to be made to answer. And the only way they have to be made to answer is for you to stand up and ask them for your stimulus package. You have to stand up. You have to stand up. And what is even more frustrating is that we have information that they have the rice stockpiled in warehouses. Some of them in their homes, their houses have been turned to warehouses. And the sole intent of that is to use this particular relief package for political purposes. They are fielding candidates in the counties on December 8th, where we're having a midterm election. So they're going to use these relief items as political tool to get votes. Now, no one should have to receive these items because they're voting for a certain candidate. They should receive it because they are Liberians. And that is why we think wherever they have the rice, oil, and beans stockpiled, they should bring them out and distribute them. Or if they can't do so, they should give a clear picture on the status of the stimulus package. In the absence of that, we have reason to believe that the World Food Program is colluding with our government to steal $30 million from the Liberian people. Now, when I say steal $30 million, I'm saying this because as you speak right now, you're already paying for that money. Your representative increased the price of petroleum product by 30 cents a gallon to pay for that. So every time you pay for a gallon of petrol product, you are paying for that money already. So you have a cabal in government, a syndicate, a criminal cartel in government that has decided that we will take $30 million and steal from the Liberian people and they will do nothing. Because you know why? Your leaders think that you are timid. They think that you are very weak. You can stand up to them. You voted for them, but you don't have the spine to stand up to them. November 16 is when you tell them enough is enough.
Oh.
You have to tell them that we empowered you. We gave you our votes. We are the reason why you wield these authorities. So you cannot go and make us victim of the very power that we gave to you. So to ensure that happens, you have to come up en masse. I can tell you for a fact, the mobilization we've done over the last few weeks to ensure November 16th is a success is enormous. People will come up. The Capitol Hill will be flooded with people. They will come out. But you have to be part of this. Because if you don't be part of this, your government would have discovered a weakness in you and they will exploit you even further. And you cannot let that happen. Your government was instituted for your own good, your pleasure, the pursuit of your individual and collective happiness. To the extent that your government feels under singular responsibility, you are supposed to stand up. It is your right to peaceably gather, to tell your government that enough is enough. This is not what we signed up for. We have a lot of reasons why we're gathering, a lot. But this one is even more critical because this is a crime yet to be committed. We have reasons to believe that they have the right stockpile. They have the monies. The WFP, the government, they know what they're doing. So if the WFP does not want to be implicated in this criminality, they don't want to be culpable, criminally culpable, they should come out and tell Liberian people the extent of their involvement in this exercise. If they don't do so, they will be as criminally culpable as the Liberian government is. And we already know that this government is so corrupt that any corruption now is in front of this government. We have to send out a louder message. Let's gather on Monday and tell our government that enough is enough.
So,
if they have eaten our rice, let them vomit the rice. If they have drunk our oil, let us spit it out.
so,
If they ate the beans, we want the beans back.
so.
They are criminals. This is a verdict that you, the Liberian people, should pass on them. They have stolen from you, they continue to steal from you, and the only reason necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. And you cannot sit there as a good Liberian to see this evil happening in its track without nipping it in the bud. You have to do so. It is your singular responsibility to stand with your country to the extent of your might and your ability and your power. Let's stand with this country. Our government has failed us. Let's be the last line of defense for this country.
So,
We have the case of 3 missing young men. Now, I can be here for the next 3 hours to tell you how badly this country is being run right now. I can tell you 3 hours from now, maybe 4 hours, maybe 5 hours. There are plethora of reasons why this government should be made to account on several accounts. But we can't be here all day. Alright? So I'll give you a few reasons why I believe this government should account to us. And this should appeal to you. It should appeal to you. Because you feel, or you should feel, robbed. You should feel stolen from. You should feel silenced. And this should anger you deep down. You should come out. 3 young men are missing. Reportedly missing. There are speculations that they're dead, speculations that they're alive. And who is in the middle of all of this? See Moses, the owner of a funeral parlor. He is in the middle of all of this. What is the government doing to ensure that it's a closure to this matter? Nothing. As a matter of fact, the guy is allowed to go on radio stations and explain it himself, while the police is still seized of this matter. He should not be allowed to be roaming all around the street and going all on radio station explaining himself. He should be making this explanation to the police station. And for the government to tell you how callous they're handling this matter, they just deposited the remains of the late Minister of Public Works at his business place. So they're telling you they don't care. This man should remain business. You know, now, I'm a businessman myself. I don't think that anything that has to do with me as a person should generally affect my business, right? But see, Moses himself has not been able to separate his business from himself. So because of that, there is a reason to keep him locked up. And the government has got to show that they are in solidarity with the family by now further empowering this man. That message has to be sent out. And even the family of the late Minister of Public Works, I thought that was, I don't know, but that wasn't a well thought out idea to send a late relative at that funeral parlor, whereas the manager has been accused or is in the middle of something this serious. So I'd like to officially state here that the COP is in solidarity with the families of the missing young men. And yesterday we had some of our colleagues there, you know, but the police, as usual, which we believe are now CDC police people, you know, went there and then they harass the protesters. There are video footage of police physically attacking journalists, slapping journalists in his face. You all have seen it. So this one tells you that the police can do anything to protest us. But we are going to defy all the orders who are going to come out. Unless George Weah and his CDC police further show to the world how intolerant of other views they are.
So,
we're going to come out. So they should get ready to bring a lot of police people to slap a lot of us. We will be out. But we have to stand up against this diatribe. Stand up against this travesty that is happening in this country. We have to stand up. We have information that the CDC right now is recruiting hardcore partisans and sending them to the police station, to the police academy for training. Because the police force, as it was when it took over, to some extent maintained a certain standard of professionalism. So they found out that these guys will not do their bidding. They found out. So what they are doing now is to collect hardcore citizens and some of those guys in the Sabo unit, take them to the police academy outside of standard operating procedures, the SOP of the police, and get them trained at the police, give them long-range rifle and sidearms, and deploy them among protesters to cause carnage. We have that information. As I'm speaking to you, the chairman of the Coalition of Democratic Change is in district number 5. The video footage will be available tomorrow. He was in district number 5 today in Tamafara district, recruiting people to send them to the academy. I have the video footage, I'll get it tomorrow. I'm meeting my contact this evening and will be available to the press. So these guys are actually recruiting seditionists, get them uniform, get them sidearm, and get them a mandate to clamp down on opposition and critical voices. So George Weah does not want this country to be peaceful. He wants to lead in chaos. And there's only one reason why he wants to do that, because even in the presence of peace, he will not succeed. Do you know why? Because he has assembled the worst team in the history of this country to lead this country. The incompetence in government is unmatched. We've never seen a government as incompetent as this government. That is why our international partners are doing little or no business with us. Because when we go to meetings, we are underrepresented, or we are not represented at all. So they don't see us as potential partners. They see us as deadweights. So we have lost our respectability. So the CDC government wants to lead in terror, in fear, in carnage. And I'll be honest, they have succeeded in instilling fear in the minds of people. But we have to stand up to them. If we don't, they're going to run this country down into the ground.
so,
We cannot afford to do that. To tell you how careless this government is, as per the president, he has a certain person at the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, which is supposed to be an integrity institution. This singular individual credibility has been brought into the mud, to the extent that the professional body to which he should be a member of has disavowed him. The National Bar Association has disavowed Wambutike. He invited them for an anti-corruption conference and they said they are not coming. But the president still thinks that he has the credibility, the repute to stay at the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. We are coming out on Monday and tell the president to dismiss Wambotike. If he doesn't do it, we're not leaving the streets.
So,
We're not leaving the streets. Samuel thinks that the way to solve the problem of monetary supply in this country is to print more money. That is his idea of monetary policy. Samuel thinks that there are no Liberians in the bank, print more money. And then when the money leaves the bank, you print more money. One thing Samuel has not gathered is that the Liberian people, you can print 2 trillion Liberian dollars, it will not go in the bank. Because they have no trust in the banking system. And who has done that? The government. Liberian people believe that when you put money in the bank, George, we are people will actually go to one bank and take all the money from there. When they go for that money, they will not get that money. So because of that, they are keeping that money home. They are taking the money from the banking sector. The Lebanese people and the Fulanese, they are running a parallel monetary economy in this country. They are running a parallel. Look, the Fulanese and the Lebanese have more money than any bank in the country. That is because they don't trust the banks. So Samuel Twelve's approach to this matter should not be printing more money. I'm informed that they want to call the legislature by the can and approve the printing of more money as a solution. The truth is, all the money they've printed so far, they have not been using Guinea. They have not been using Sierra Leone or Cote d'Ivoire. They're staying in Liberia. So the more money you print, the money come outside on mattresses, you know, you're going to still have issues in the country. So there has to be a smart way to deal with this, and that starts with credibility. The people have to trust that our government can keep their money safe in the banks.
so,
They have to trust that. But that is not happening. So Samuel Twelve, one approach right now is to print more money. I'm not an economist, but I don't believe that when money is short, you print more money will solve the problem. I don't believe that. Even from my rudimentary 10th grade economics, I don't believe that when money is short in the market, you print more money. I don't believe that. There has to be a policy prescription that guides the supply, flow, and tracking of money. That has to happen. Before coming in here, I was able to do some maths. Currently, if you make $200 US dollars in salary, with the current exchange rate, you are going to lose up to $33 to $40 due to the exchange rate. So you are losing up to 24% of your income due to the exchange rate. So if your child's school fee was say $100 and you have to pay $20,000 in Liberian dollars, and the school fee is still $20,000, you have to pay more than $100 to get $20,000. So what has happened essentially, and this is not a market force situation, this is not where the market itself determines the rate. This is where there is an artificial scenario that has created the shift, you know, the valuation in the Liberian dollar, the appreciation in the Liberian dollar, and the depreciation in the US dollar. It is not market forces. It is by machination, it is by orchestration. Right? It's not market dynamics. So the Liberian people are losing their money, already money not enough, right, for taking home. They are losing more of that money just from the exchange rate. And there are no clear signs that this will be mitigated. So I listened to it this morning on Freedom FM, and his argument was it is going to take some time, but how long is it going to take? People are losing their disposable income just on exchange rate. And then the depreciation of the US dollar and the appreciation of the Liberian dollar, it is not corresponding to the constant price of commodity. So that is hardship on the Liberian people. They printed $4 billion. No commercial bank in this country gave any other money out at any other telling windows. Not one. The only person I know that had a new money that was printed was Thomas Farah. So in other words, this government printed money and gave it to the political candidate to run a campaign. All of you watching, all of you listening, I need you to tell me that you went to a certain bank to withdraw money and they gave you brand new notes that came from the central bank to the commercial banks. You will not see it. All the bank notes that came from the commercial banks are mutilated to the extent that even now you can't even find them. You can't find them. So these problems and many others which you can say, which you have been telling people in the communities, you know, go got more time in the communities than we have on the media, like right now. So we're telling people one-on-one, and it's resonating. And people say, won't come. They come here outside. We've already informed the Justice Ministry, we informed the ECOWAS, we sent a letter through DHL to the chairman of the head of state of ECOWAS, President Nana Akufo-Addo. We wrote the head of delegation of the EU, right? We wrote the US Embassy. So they are aware of this. And in the next few hours, they're going to issue a travel advisory to put coming to Liberia, informing them of our protest on Monday. So we are going to gather en masse on the Capitol. We're going to gather and we're going to sing a much louder song that this country needs saving. Because we have to save the state.
Sound.
Enough is enough.
Sound.
This country needs saving. And it is only you who can save this country. You have to stand up. Stand up to your government. Tell them you're robbing us. We're tired of being robbed. We're tired of being lied to. They lied to us about Ibomath. They lied to us about Eton Loan. They lied to us about 6,000 teachers. They lied to us about airplane. I mean, the people feel so comfortable lying to us to the extent that we are so used to being lied to. Let's stand up and tell them enough is enough.
Sound.
We are tired and sick and tired of being sick and tired of being tired and sick and tired of being sick of being tired.
Sound.
We are tired. Enough is enough.
Sound.
Thank you.
My name is Edwin Junori. I work from British Africa. You keep highlighting the issue of TLFE being colluding with the government of Liberia to steal it from the Liberian people. We have made some effort from British Africa writing TLFE up to a week now, no response. So, are you going to add TLFE to your protest list that indeed will protect against them, knowing that it is an international organization?
So, like I said in my opening statements, the WFP clearly is complicit in this atrocity against the Liberian people. And they should be embarrassed because Liberia ranks among the poorest country on earth right now, if not the poorest. They should be embarrassed that they were collude with a corrupt regime to steal from very poor people. The relief package, as was designed or as was intentioned, was to help poor people that were shut in. And if you look at the demographics of our country, everybody's poor. Everybody's poor. So the idea was to give much needed relief item to people who are shut in, who barely made a daily revenue, daily income. Right? So these people are very poor. They are shut in their homes. They can't come outside. Your government takes money from the international community to bring food to you while you are shut in. But your government does not bring the food to you. Instead, they are dividing the food on their political campaigns. What they are telling you is, you're stupid, you're spineless, you're timid, you're weak. Tell your government you are nothing close to what they describe or think you are. And to do that, you have to stand up to them. Stand up. Because if you don't stand up for yourself, nobody's going to stand up for you. You have to stand up.
Thank you very much.
We're taking 5 questions.
One farmer in a report for fabric. My concern is, you said in your explanation that you wrote the Ministry of Justice. Has the Ministry of Justice consented to your letter to protest on Monday?
Thank you. The letter to the Justice Ministry was not a letter requesting their approval. It was a letter acknowledging them of our protest action. Because under the laws, we don't need permission to protest. All right, people are supposed to peaceably gather and petition our government. So it is under our constitutional requirement that we are doing this assembly. So it was not a letter to ask for permission. It was instead one to acknowledge them of this and to provide for us the needed security protection as is required. They're supposed to protect every Liberian. So when Liberians are aggrieved in whatever number, whatever size, whatever persuasion, and they come together, the security is supposed to ensure that their safety is guaranteed. So it was not a letter to request their permission. Instead, it was one to acknowledge of our action and of course request security protection for our peaceful protesters. Again, I like to emphasize this is going to be a peaceful assembly of peaceful Liberians to legitimately petition our government to look into several issues that affect them as a people and as a country.
FP, Amos Kozal from Fortune TV. My concern has to do with petition. On Monday, who will you be presenting your petition to? Because in past protests, you have not presented a petition to a particular person, but you are being waiting either for the president or someone special to give your petition to.
Okay, so unlike the past protests where we have petition to present, this one, we have some issues that we want the government to take care of. They don't need to meet us. Yeah, they don't need to do it. For example, dismiss one ticket. We don't need to petition you for that. Just dismiss him. Because we've already had this in the media for an entire month. They've read it. We've told them in a letter to the Justice Ministry, we outlined some of these things. To the embassy, the US embassy, we outlined them. To the head of EU delegation, we outlined them. To ECOWAS chairman, we outlined them. So these issues have already been communicated. So if the president or the government wants to call up this protest, which we are willing to do, let them dismiss one boutique, let them give a stimulus package, let them bring closure to the 25 million mobile exercise, let them investigate the full mysterious death of auditors, let them bring closure to the family members of the disappearance of the 3 young men. You know, let them do these things. Then we'll call the protesters, we'll not go on the street. But once they don't do them, we'll remain in the street.
Okay, my name is Patrick and I report for Joy FM TV. I'm concerned about the continuous protest of COP. Your message on drone selling is still the same as the message in January. It seems to be like nothing is changing. Everything is still the same because you continue to stage protests. Why are you not opting other options in engaging in the government on pressing national issues?
These options have always been exploited. We've always flagged these issues, right? But it is always the government's position to grandstand. It is always their place to defend their actions. They are flagrant. They are disrespectful, to say the least. They don't think our concerns are genuine. They don't think they are legitimate or they're germane. So they do as they please, even when they are warned. For example, the issue of Igbo Marvin Eaton. They were clearly warned that these deals were shady. That they were shady. They were warned. But instead, they still went through with the processes. The issue of Lone Star Air. We forewarned them that this is a scam. It is not going to work. It is a scam. The Director General of the Liberia Civil Aviation Authority, former Representative Moses Colley, wrote the Director General of the Ghanaian Civil Aviation Authority to inquire about the status of Gold Star Air, you know, and the reply from there clearly shows that these people are not even licensed to operate air carriers. So how can they come and have a subsidiary in Lone Star Air Liberia here when they are not authorized to operate in their base country of Ghana? So they have consistently been warned against engaging in these 419 scams, but against our advice and our judgments, they've always continued. So in the midst of that, the only way we can do this is to bring out actions that will compel them to do the right thing. And this is entirely legal. We'd like to state that categorically. Our assembly, our convergence on the Capitol is a legal stance which is guaranteed on our law. And I like the fact that the US government through the State Department has ensured that or guaranteed that they will stand with peaceful protesters in Africa to the extent that they are not violent and encourage governments to provide for the safety of peaceful protesters. And on our foundation and our constitutional right to do so, we are going out on Monday, November 16th.
You were present at a political rally, Mr. Secretary General, in a couple of days.
Your name first?
Sherman from PMTV. You were present at a political rally in a couple of days, specifically Senator Abraham Darius DeLone, and that's a political trend. And then in your statement, sir, you said this is not about political trend or political level that you try to engage your endeavor. I'm concerned about reconciling that statement with that of as a head of an institution or maybe one of the heads of an institution or organization being present at a political rally and reconciling that statement with what you say is not a political thing. How can one be convinced about your statement here?
Thank you. So the COP has members that are partisans of other political parties. right? The COP is not a partisan institution, but its members are freely allowed to associate with other political parties. That is the status of the Council of Patriots.
It's also part of
Right.
heads are also part as well. For
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody from top to bottom. You are allowed to associate with a political party. But when you come to the COP and we take a decision and it runs contrary to your political party decision, you have to stand with the COP's decision.
So you think opposition,
Don't you think-
all the political party hasn't gone wrong?
No, they do, and we just started from time to time. We've spoken out against, we've been the biggest critics of the CPP. I don't know if you've been following.
So how?
We have criticized the CPP at certain
so
points.
why
We even
why
spoke.
isn't any count against COP? Or I mean CPP? Why any count of your petitions is
Because CPP is not a ruling party. They are not allowed to run the finances of this country. They don't consummate deals for this country. But I would expect you as a journalist to know that the governance of this country is not the COPs to the CPPs to determine. It is the ruling establishment. So when stimulus package is not disobedient, I don't ascribe that to the CPP. When 25 million mop-up is not properly accounted for, that is not the CPP's position. So this is why you see the heat is going on the establishment. But when it comes to the institutional functionality of the CPP, we can have a position statement.
So, Mr. Yobo,
all right?
Let's
yeah.
take
which
this number
party you
here.
belong to?
I don't belong to any party. I'm formerly associated with the CDC.
Let's get it.
I associated with the CDC, but 2011 I supported another candidate, and right now my membership with the CDB is dormant.
That my colleague regularly
It's
said.
dormant.
Always around Senator Abraham Dara's.
Okay, let me speak to that Dillon issue.
fundraising
Let me speak to that
rally
Dillon
at
issue.
the head of
The rally was Friends of Dillon. It was not a political party rally. The rally on the 7th of June was Friends of Darius Dillon Liberia. I'm a friend of Darius Dillon. I support Darius Dillon for the Senate. That is why you saw me there.
So how long the protest will last for?
As long as our demands are met.
All right, thank you.